This happened to 3 friends in the Victorian era. They were all really good friends, and they lived in a big house. And one of them had an antique doll that was passed down from her grandmother, and this doll was extremely creepy. It had a distorted face, and it was always staring at you, no matter where you put it in the room. One night, one of the girls brought the doll into her bedroom and put it on her bedside table. She was going to get rid of it because it was just too creepy. Hey, and as she was falling asleep, she noticed the doll was staring at her with its soulless eyes. She tried to convince herself that it wasn't moving, but she knew deep down that it was. She started having these vivid dreams about this creepy lady from the Victorian era who was trying to tell her something. The dreams were so intense that she could feel the woman's presence in her room, and she could hear her whispering, "Help me, help me." When she woke up in the morning, she told her 2 friends about the dreams, and they all agreed that they should get rid of the doll. But the more they tried to get rid of it, the more it seemed to multiply. They found more and more dolls in the attic that all looked identical. And no matter how many dolls they got rid of, there were always more to take their place. And then, one day, one of the girls was researching the history of the house in the attic, and she found an old trunk. Inside the trunk, she found a diary from the Victorian era. And as she was reading through the diary, she realized that it belonged to a woman who had lived in the house over 100 years ago, okay? And the woman in the diary kept mentioning this creepy doll that she had. And it was clear from the diary entries that the woman was obsessed with the doll. She talked about how it was her most prized possession, and how she would dress it up and talk to it like it was a real person. And the doll that she described in the diary was the exact same doll that the girls had found in the attic. As the girl was reading the diary, she could feel the presence of the creepy lady from the Victorian era growing stronger and stronger. And then suddenly, the room started to shake and the walls started to close in on her. And as she screamed for help, she could feel the diary burning in her hands. And when the flames died down, all that was left in the attic was a pile of ashes and the burnt diary. The girls were terrified to find out that the creepy doll was over 100 years old, and that the woman who had owned it was now haunting their house. They tried everything they could to get rid of the dolls, but it was no use. The dolls were everywhere. They were in the walls. They were in the floorboards. They were even coming to life at night and moving on their own. The only way to escape the dolls was to go back in time and stop the woman from ever owning the doll in the first place. And the only way to do that was to follow the instructions in the diary. The last entry in the diary contained a ritual that the woman had used to communicate with the doll. And if the girls could perform the ritual backwards, it would send them back in time. They performed the ritual, and it worked. They traveled back in time to the Victorian era, and they managed to stop the woman from ever owning the doll. And when they returned to their own time, all the dolls were gone, and the creepy lady was nowhere to be seen. They never found out what happened to the woman or why she was obsessed with the doll, but they were grateful to be rid of both the doll and the diary.